folks, welcome to Board Game Corner. I'm Mark.
And I'm Randy.
Today we are taking a look at Warhammer Quest the Adventure card game. Join forces with legendary heroes to brave the many dangers of a cavernous dungeon.
Warhammer Quest is brought to you by Fantasy Flight Games. It's a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, and it plays in about 30 to 60 minutes.
Great. Well, let's assume the roles of some of the old world's most iconic heroes and venture into the shadows. Warhammer Quest the Adventure card game is a cooperative game of heroic dungeon adventures. Join forces with legendary heroes, wield potent weapons and magic, conquer hordes of vile monsters, and discover fabulous treasures. Can you survive their relentless onslaught? Can you press deeper into their lair to find the evil villain that drives them forward? There are only 2 ways for your quest to end, in death or in glory. Warhammer Quest features the Uneasy Alliance campaign, which spans 5 quests you can either spread out among several game sessions or play in a single night. The game also includes Lost in the Dark, a single-session delve quest that uses most of the rules of a campaign with some modifications. During both the campaign and the delve quest, heroes increase in power as they find equipment and gain abilities necessary to overcome the challenge they will face. So in an attempt to not spoil the storyline for you good folks, we will mostly be taking a look at the characters, their abilities, how actions work, and how the campaign progresses. Let's take a quick look at the characters first. We have the Warrior Priest, the Wizard, the Way Watcher, and the Iron Breaker. There are 3 versions of each character, and the number of players dictates which to use, each with varying health and how many times they activate in a round. So here's a sample of how the adventure and your characters are set up for gameplay. The player hero cards and their actions. The quest sheet, enemy cards, and the shadows. The shadows is where all enemies will start. Then we have the dice and first player marker. Also a set of cards. Location, dungeon, gear, and condition cards. And lastly, the success tokens. Progress tokens, and of course, the wound tokens are placed for easy access to all players. This is the quest sheet, which provides heroes with the rules necessary to set up and play the active quest. Each sheet has 2 sides. One side contains setup information, story text, the rewards and penalties for winning or losing the quest. The other side tracks progress and defines the victory and defeat conditions. The peril token will track your progress each round, triggering nasty things like spawning the boss, healing, and activating him multiple times. Each quest varies greatly on what horrors await you and your party. Beginning with the party leader and proceeding clockwise, each hero takes a turn activating. The possible actions are explore, rest, aid, and attack, all of which are pretty self-explanatory. However, exploring is key, and it is what will advance you ever closer to the end of the quest, as well as a way to discover useful items. Each location card has exploration value that you and your party must meet. You must work together to allow the party to move to the next location. To perform an action, a hero chooses and exhausts one of his readied action cards, rolling dice and following the subtext on that card. Also, each character has different ways to restore used actions. In the case of the Wizard, her Explore action refreshes all her non-readied action cards. All the action cards show how many white dice to roll. Successful rolls are designated by the crossed axe symbol. Critical success is the star symbol. Apply 1 success and re-roll. Tokens can be used to track your number of successful rolls. Now, if you have any enemies engaged with you, then you must also gather the black dice, 1 for each enemy. And every time you perform an action, regardless of the type, these black dice are also rolled. Scratches represent hits to you, but with each shield you roll, you will block these attacks. Finally, the last symbol will trigger the Nemesis and its effects from the Nemesis lair. This is a varied effect depending on the quest and typically very bad. So let's take a closer look at an enemy card. They come in 3 flavors, Standard, Elite, and Nemesis. The card shows their tier level. Primarily, this is used for setting up at the quest time. Health and resilience is located on the bottom right. Resilience acts as kind of a shield. And on the left, their attack value, how much damage they inflict, along with the priority order in which they attack. Once all the heroes have taken their round of actions, then the enemy phase is next, moving in and out of the shadow areas to attack you and your party with varying effects. Each enemy card has a set of actions it performs during their phase. In the case of the Cutter Runner, he first inflicts damage, then Skirmish, which does either bleeding or sicken damage, and finally Scurry. He retreats back to the shadows. Always resolve these actions left to right, and each enemy has its own special brand of actions. Next, the location phase. Each location has a unique effect that must be resolved. The sewer system calls for each hero who has 2 or more exhausted actions to suffer 1 wound. And finally, the peril phase. This is where you move that pesky peril token along the track and resolve any peril effects. Typically, these are color-coded, so you never miss out on any of the nasty peril. So each quest is a bit of a race, trying to do enough exploring and avoiding or destroying monsters to reach the end and save the city of Champf. The key here is to work together and let your heroes' abilities complement each other. Also, at the end of a quest, in between each adventure, heroes enter the settlement stage, where they can do 2 of the following actions. Visit a trainer to trade a basic action for one that is more advanced. Visit the blacksmith, allowing the hero to draw 2 new gear cards, keeping 1 for the next adventure. Finally, they can visit the arena, which allows them to increase his or her gear capacity by 1. So there's a lot to explore and learn with this game. And there are some really great story moments and enemy surprises that we won't spoil for you here. All right, what do we think of this one? You know, I'm a sucker for a good dungeon crawl. It's right up my alley. And this game delivers for me on all fronts. I think the manual could have been a little better. You know, and there's a lot of terminology to learn, especially where the monsters are concerned.
Right.
But I think it's not a horrible hurdle to get over by any means. And if you're into these kind of games, you're going to be used to learning that kind of stuff anyway. I think the rule book could have been a little better, but the reference guide really does help.
It does help a lot.
Yeah. So with that aside, I love this game. I like it a lot. I can't wait for more expansions. I love how all the characters' powers complement each other so well.
And they do a good job of that because each character has their specialty. There's one characteristic or one action that automatically recycles. It doesn't have to wait to be recycled later. And that makes one character more apt to be the explorer, another one more apt to be the attacker, another one apt to be the one who aids people and heals them. So, that causes...
It has a great synergy between
it does,
characters.
But you're not stuck with that by any means.
Right.
But it does tend to lean you toward that.
Yeah, and they really did a nice job with that. And I really like the storytelling and how things can quickly go bad in an adventure. But, you know, you just go back and try again, and it's just a lot of fun. I love the track and how progressively things, like I said, get worse and worse as you go.
There's a sense of urgency.
There's a sense of urgency. Yes, I really like that in this game. And like I said, I can't wait. I sure hope they're going to do more expansions because this quest is not enough. I need more.
Now, you mentioned the collaboration. I think the collaboration, the cooperative nature of the game is probably the strongest part of the game.
Yes, by far.
Yeah, you do have to work together in order to survive and get past that track, the doom track, which keeps getting worse and worse and worse. But another thing that adds to that synergy is the narrative. Although I don't think it's a strong theme,
huge narrative,
but it does.
There's enough story there that pulls everybody in.
Right. Yeah. So you have characters that say things as you finish a location, and you're saying, okay, well, we've defeated so and so, or we need to try again, or whatever. So I think both of those things make it a very exciting game to play at times.
Right.
Yeah.
And I really like how the monsters, you don't know what's going to happen next, right? They're coming in and out of the shadows.
Oh, yeah.
And then some are so annoying, they retreat as soon as they attack, and then they're back out in the shadows.
Right.
So you have to really work together to have people with ranged weapons and engage when people are being attacked and pull monsters away from other heroes to give people some breathing room. And I'm a good dice chucker, right? I love dice. And this game has some fun dice elements to it as well. So you definitely feel the role-playing aspect is there, you know?
Yeah. And the dice, I know you would like that more than I would. But this has both dice and cards. And so if you're lucky at one, not lucky in the other, maybe it'll offset each other.
Definitely. So I'm giving this game really high marks. Almost perfect for me, except for the rule book. So I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 4 corners.
Okay, now I'm rating it a little bit lower. It's not because it's not a good game, and I enjoy playing with Mark. I think the replayability, it depends upon your group, but there's going to be an inclination for you to play it several times in one evening, so you can complete some missions, but I think it's going to be more challenging to get it off the shelf sometimes.
Right.
I think there's also the issue that, as you mentioned, some of the rules can be a little bit nitpicky, and you're trying to figure out, well, does this damage get through their armor,
or does this happen first?
Exactly.
So there is some of that about the rule book.
Yeah,
it's a little, but I think a lot of that's overcomable.
Yeah, and as people play it more, and I think this is the challenge, is if you do bring it to the table very often, I think you'll get past that and become much more playable. I would like to have seen this in a smaller box. Now, we've talked about the tiny epic games before, which come in boxes about this big, and I think that this box, or this game's sweet spot, is a game that you can take with you, maybe carry it around your backpack if you're in college or going to school, maybe take it on trips.
Right, you could easily grab the cards, though. And
Right. But I think it would be better positioned in a smaller form factor, because this is a game, as Mark said, it doesn't take a lot of time to set up.
Yeah.
So I think that's... If you are in those venues and want something quick to set up, I think that'll allow you to play this more and get past some of those rule issues.
Yep.
So it didn't quite make a 3. It's 2.5 for me. It was still it was still a fun game to play.
Right.
But
I do agree on the replayability, though, because I want more quests and I want them now.
Yeah.
Because we've gone through these quests at least 3 times. At least I have. I think you've only gone through it once.
I think so. Yeah.
So, but I love it so much that I've played the quest multiple times. But I just want more, and that's what it leaves me wanting. So I like that in the game.
Yeah, and the other small thing I'd suggest is that on the 4 cards, which you have in front of you all the time, I didn't feel like the artwork necessarily represented the feel of the card. For example, if I'm resting, one of my resting cards for one of my characters said basically still has attacking going on. And it's like, you see what I'm saying? So it's not like the artwork is beautiful.
Oh,
don't get me wrong. But I would like to have it be a little bit more consistent with what the cards did.
If it's aiding.
Yes, exactly. So it's all, and that's such a small complaint.
Such a small thing.
Yeah.
But the artwork, let's talk about that in a minute. It is fantastic in this game. They did a really nice job.
They did.
All the heroes and all the enemies and the locations, just beautiful artwork. So big kudos on that one for me.
And we haven't mentioned it yet, but some of the weapons you can get and the armor you can get, that can really add to the game.
It adds so much, and it carries over, and you can do stuff in between quests, just like an RPG would be.
So that adds to the campaign element. So again, this is going to encourage you to play it through many times, many missions in one evening.
Right.
So, but once you're done, I don't know if you'll go beyond that.
Yeah.
One other last caveat is that I think some of the weapons or treasures you get are some are overpowered and some are underpowered.
I think that's intentional, actually.
Yeah. So you go like, yay, I get this. Oh, wait, I got a treasure, but this isn't as good as the ones I got.
I got a rock.
Yeah, I got a rock. And the other one's like, okay, I got the trap card. Okay, we're going to win. Don't care who's coming up. We're going to win.
Yeah, some of those legendary items are really powerful and quite frankly fantastic for your heroes. And it just, again, makes you feel, powerful in the game, which I love. But there's plenty of stuff happening to knock you down a few notches.
Yeah. So for me, I think we both agree that this is a good evening's entertainment.
Oh, it really is.
And for Mark, who likes A, dice rolling, and B, dungeon crawlers, I think it'll take, for people like that, you'll carry it on beyond the evening and maybe future evenings as well.
Definitely. And again, it's when more future expansions, I could see them expanding this one for a very long time to come.
And I'll come over and play when they do.
That's right. It'll be great. All right, folks. That's our review this week. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, we'll see you at the table.
So much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.